Clickety, 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 clack, clickety, clack. Clickety, clack. You probably heard my keyboard. I think we're on. Oh, that's the wrong picture. Hi, everybody. I remember how to do this. Just glad it's working. I'm just glad it's working today. Welcome to 20 Minutes of Coffee. We're back. We're supposed to have a show Tuesday. And what ended up happening was I forgot to do the show. And because I hadn't streamed for about a week, Stream Elements, if you were watching my game stream yesterday, Stream Elements disconnected. Which happens every now and then. You know, when you log into something, you go on your computer and suddenly, like, everything's logged out, and you're like, I didn't do anything. Your computer's just like, I'm tired. This is what I want to do. That's what happened with Stream Elements. So I've had to reattach everything, and it's I wasn't sure today was going to work, but it's here. We got some wonderful folks checking in live. Team Zoc mug sipping gingerbread coffee today. It tastes like gingerbread. Michael McCarsel's here live in chat. Laserbolt Videos is here as well. David McKay, we also occasionally call him Channel 19 from the Twitch days. And the real McCoy giving 3 thumbs up to us being here live. Those are channel members watching live. You can become a channel member and join the conversation. 20 minutes of coffee. Join the conversation. Something I said, and that's not something first. I'm not first to market with that. I remember saying that, promoting the Napzok Files in like early 2013. Join the conversation. Hashtag the Napzok Files. I just have flashbacks to the beginning of this entire journey. If you're just joining me or you're watching later on replay, this is just a casual show where I hang out and wake up with all of you. Or you might be having lunch. You might be having dinner, depending on where you are in the world. But I am just waking up. Slept in a little bit today. Not a ton. Slept in a little bit. Did I deserve it? Yeah, I deserved it. A lot going on in the world. We swing over to news. We swing over to the world at large. And I got to tell you, it's one of those lives, but it's also just one of those days. Yesterday, it was like 12 headlines in one day. You know what I mean? Meaning like 12 in my youth, this headline would have dominated the news for weeks. We had like 12 of those yesterday. Shooting at UNLV, 3, I think, dead at this point. One was into stable condition, and then the shooter, a college professor who had tried to get a job at UNLV is one thing I read, but that's just me recalling something I quickly read in an article, not a fact, at least right now. And I had this shot. It's like there's nothing more I can say about this. Nothing more I can say about this, and nothing more any of us can say. We're not fixing this problem. I guess we just give up. No, I vote in people who want to work on this problem. But it's to the point, and I don't mean this with any sense of callousness. It's to the point that when you see that headline or you see that trending hashtag, UNLV or Vegas or active shooter, whatever, you stop, you look, and then when you're like, oh, it's less than 10, I'll still tweet. Like, that's how callous it's just gotten. This was like our 80th school shooting this year, 631st, I think, mass shooting event in our country this year, and we're rounded out we're finishing strong. It's crazy, and that's how kind of I just there's not much more I can say on that. So we have to press on, like all of us do. There's so many headlines. So the Republican debate, Kevin McCarthy walking away. There's so much. I don't have ton of deep thoughts on Kevin McCarthy walking away. What a difference a year. Start the year. You hold up America. You hold up America for 15 Speaker of the House votes. And I watched them. I watched some of them. Gripping, boring entertainment all in one. You hold up. You get the Speaker of the House vote. You make a deal with the devils around you, and 9 months later, you are historically fired. Like a historic level of firing from the Speaker of the House with another vote. And then you walk away, not even going for re-election. Everyone has the right to do that. Everyone has the right to change. you know, Barry Sanders can retire from football, and that's okay. Kevin McCarthy wants to walk away. I think what bothers me is Kevin McCarthy is just this feckless, powerless, pointless politician. There's so many of them, of course. Most on the GOP side, but there's some on the Democrat side, to be clear. But he gets to walk away. He's gonna get some consulting job. He'll be a lobbyist. He'll go on a book tour, and he'll make more money than he ever has. And you can't let the bitterness take over. You can't let the bitterness take over. You just got to move on. Or you make a decision like, I've been waiting. I have not clicked on this story. I'm going to talk a little bit about Norman Lear here in a bit. And if you have some Norman Lear thoughts, maybe a favorite Norman Lear show and you're watching live, put it in the comments. Join the conversation. I've been wanting to read this story here. Ex-Jaguars employee accused of stealing more than $22 million from the team. I guess it worked until it didn't. Ben Morse reporting. Former Jacksonville Jaguar employee accused of stealing more than $22 million from the NFL team to fund a lavish lifestyle. What with $22 million? What kind of lifestyle are you going to fund? I guess that's if the court filing says Amit Patel used the money to fund online gambling, pay for private travel and accommodation for himself and friends, as well as sporting tickets, acquiring a new Tesla. Oh, that's a bad decision. Nissan pickup truck. Okay, good. Purchase cryptocurrency. Oh, the money's gone. And buy a property in Point Vedra Beach, Florida. Wow. Oh, thank you, CNN. Yes, I've already summarized the news. Thank you. He also bought a watch worth over $95,000, paying the entire price with proceeds of his fraud scheme. Sip of coffee, and you can say scheme instead of scream. Here's the thing: if this employee or any employee stole over time $22 million from their job, Jacksonville Jaguars otherwise, and then you discovered that he used it to fund orphanages, hospitals in countries where people need them, get aid into affected areas, gave to the residentially challenged, gave money to family who needs it. If you found that, would he still go to jail? Probably. But would it be worth it? Would we look at him a little better? No one takes this kind of money for good. We had, at my old security job, we had a guy, and certainly not going to name him. He was a nice enough guy. He was in the training department. And he was a gambler. And he lost his marriage, was losing his marriage, and was going to lose his house. And so he started a scheme where he worked with a couple other officers on staff where they would fake hours. So back in the day, our time cards were manual, and meaning not just punch, but you'd like write your time cards in. I'd like in triplet, and he and some other employees would fake, like supervisors, would fake time cards for special events and stuff. Like, this is the company we worked the Oscars. I never took the Oscar gig because it was not overtime I wanted, but we worked the Oscars, we worked Emmys, like that kind of stuff, as well as malls and studios and that kind of stuff. So if there was overtime events, because he kind of saw that, he and these supervisors would fake time cards and split those paychecks. And it got to like $240,000 or something like that before they uncovered it. The owners of the company had known the guy since he was like a kid, so they didn't press charges. They just said, you got to pay it back over time. And he still worked there till the day I left. He worked there. And again, if he had done that because he was hungry or wanted to feed the hungry, maybe I'd less problem with it. But this is fascinating. I don't even know how this happens. This individual had no access to confidential football strategy, personnel, or other football information. Oh, that's good. That's good. The Tennessee Titans won't know the Jacksonville Jaguars plays. We're all good. We're all good. Kingsport Cal's here says, stop lying. I am not lying. I don't know what you think I'm lying about, but I'm not lying. The team engaged experienced law and accounting firms to conduct a comprehensive independent review, which concluded that no other team employees were involved in aware this criminal activity. Again, quarterback Trevor Lawrence does not know. How did he do this? I gotta find this before we move on. He had to do this overtime. Was this a security person? No, guess it was not me. I could give the name, but I'm not going to. He was the head of the trading department at the company I worked for. Right. All right. So Norman Lear. And Real McCoy says, I grew up with Norman Lear shows such an icon. Most of those shows would not be greenlit now. Though they were in the process of rebooting a ton of his shows. Norman Lear passed away yesterday at 101 years old. It was a life well lived, to be clear. He was working and he's still credited for 6. I'm on IMDb right now. 6 shows. Good Times, a reboot. Fried Green Tomatoes, Mary Hartman remake. Dunio, The Corpse, Clean Slate. Executive producer on those. He was working, man. And I think maybe that's part of the look, I want to just stop and build Legos the rest of my life and play some Fortnite till I die, but I think the key might be keep going. Keep the mind and body moving. Look at these. I'm looking at these credits in 2021. I wanted to go down to the heart of Norman Lear's career. This is such a it's a crazy work resume here. But also in Norman Lear's passing, I think should be I think Norman Lear's passing should absolutely be paid attention to. He should be remembered, and he should be understood for what he did and how he built an entire generation. An entire generation. You watched one of these shows if you're of a certain age group, and maybe you watched it even afterwards on syndication or Nick at Night or things like that. I was looking at his career. He kind of came out of publicity. He had moved to L.A. in 1950 to be working like PR. He had served in World War II. He was a radio operator in a B-17. He flew over 50 missions. He's Memphis Belle, man. He was that. So he gets out. He does the Find Your Life, Build America post-war. He moves to L.A. with his family, East Coaster, and slowly but surely starts writing sketches, gets on Milton Berle, all that kind of stuff, starts writing sketches for him. Early days. Danny Kaye special, Henry Fonda and the Family, Andy Williams, the Martha Raye Show, because that was what was the style of the times. But it isn't until late 60s he starts producing and writing more shows. And then that 71, which is All in the Family, which, by the way, All in the Family had 2 failed pilots. It had 2 failed pilots before it actually became All in the Family. So that's another testament to keep going, keep working. Don't take no. Get it right. All in the Family, Sanford and Son. And yes, these, some people will point out they're adaptations of British shows. Steptoe and Son, I think, is the first one for Sanford and Son. And then I forget the one for All in the Family was a British show as well. It's not listed here. Or at least I can't see it pop up right away. But that's common. But then All in the Family, Sanford, Mary Hartman. Fernwood Tonight he was involved with. Maude, a very important show. All in the Family, there it is, the big one. Good Times, which I watched, 74 to 79. I watched a lot of these one on review. Square Pegs, executive producer. The spinoff, Archie Bunker's Place, which I do remember. One Day at a Time. Schneider, The Jeffersons, Silver Spoons, executive producer in Princess Bride. That's right. He and Rob Reiner, Carl Reiner's son. Facts of Life, 227. Movie, the executive producer, Fried Green Tomatoes. That's why he's part of the reboot. This is goes on and on and on. I think he had something to do with Different Strokes as well, which was a show I watched a lot. Matty Gunner's here with the UK connection saying Steptoe and Son was great. Steptoe and Son was great. 227 Kingsport Cal, Jack A. Point being, you were affected by Norman Lear. Whether you knew it or not, you were affected by Norman Lear. Life well lived, like I said. Doesn't mean he was always perfect. Who knows? I'm sure he's probably got some folks who are like, Lear. I know he helped blacklist a writer in the 80s. I was reading a little bit about that last night. But also, what Norman Lear represents to me as an artist, as a writer, or whatever you want to call me. You call me a content creator, too. I don't care, because I'm creating content in a bathrobe right now. What Norman Lear represents to me is that all this thing I bang on about all the time, that art has meaning. And even these sitcoms, and he was part of that 70s sitcom style that did eventually become outdated. And the Cosby Show came in and reinvigorated that. And that kind of led to a new era. And Lear maybe wasn't as prominent and powerful in the late 80s on. But he, during a really tumultuous time, coming out of the tumultuous 60s, really, really leaned into the art has meaning aspect. And that even though it's a fun, entertaining show, it had purpose. It had a point. It had a perspective. All in the Family, even though it was based off of a situation comedy in the UK, which was like a Tory father and a socialist son, he adapted that because it was real to his life. Rob Reiner, gets on the scene with that one too, by the way. I always remember as a kid watching Rob Reiner, watching All in the Family reruns, and then seeing Rob Reiner in the middle 80s, already kind of the Marty DeBerge Spinal Tap Rob Reiner, and not connecting the two. Rob Reiner in All in the Family looked a lot like my dad. So I thought it was Dad on TV when I was a kid. But you know what I mean by that. And then it came on, and even shows like Facts of Life, Different Strokes, and that kind of early 80s universe, that Lear universe. Then you had the 70s version, which was All in the Family, Sanford and Son. Jefferson's kind of emerged from that. Maude was a spinoff. All these spinoffs, it's this kind of Lear-verse. In the 80s, it's more the Facts of Life, Different Strokes kind of world. But that kind of raised us. And on a very special Different Strokes, we could make fun of that kind of 80s trope, the Arnold smokes a marijuana cigarette today. But and it leaned in a little bit to the Just Say No stuff, but that's okay. But, it had purpose and a meaning while it was entertaining. And I'm still angry about the stuff that Iger said last week, which I know was mostly to placate investors. But the people at the top, like the Perlmutters and all that group. We were talking about this with some friends offline. Totally understand it. But for Iger to come out and say that we need to get back to entertaining, it's never just been entertainment. It's never just been entertainment. And Norman Lear got that. And he got that early on. And when he got more of the control, when he got his shows on the air, he made it matter. He made everything matter. Even in the comedy, even in the silly stuff. I loved the Jeffersons. I moved on up to That Big Apartment in the Sky as a kid. I loved that show. Didn't get it. Didn't understand it. But it opened up my eyes to a world that I didn't fully. I was absorbing all these kind of things from Lear. So that's what I respect, and he's gone, and he's a titan without a doubt. One of the people who truly changed the game. You can only say that, honestly, for a few every now and then. Catching up with comments on the live chat. And again, you can become a live chat member if you become a member of this channel. Laserbolt says, Norman Lear was one of those fellows that looked the same even when I was a kid in the 80s. Yes, I saw some younger pictures of Norman Lear. And I'm not talking like young kids or when he was in the military. I'm talking like younger 1970s pictures of Norman Lear. And it was the first time I saw this one picture. I think you can go to his Wikipedia page and you can see it, Laserbolt. He has like a mustache and no glasses and his hair's a little long. And it was the first time I thought, that doesn't look like Norman Lear. But otherwise, yeah, he's got the Robert Duvall thing where he was born in 40. And I agree with you there. Michael McCarson says, definitely didn't know his name, but absolutely watched so many of his shows. Yeah, and that's the thing, too. Even if you didn't know Norman Lear, I didn't grow up knowing Norman Lear. He was on the air. He hosted some shows, like a game show every now and then, and I think eventually I learned about him. I think I've even seen him when I was the security director at the farmers market. A lot of wonderful old timers would come hang out. I was friendly and knew Paul Mazursky for a while. Robert Altman used to be there. Richard Kind, he still goes there. They all hang out. Comedian Fred Wolf. There was this table of just a lot of old Hollywood folks. I think Lear was there, around there every now and then. I do kind of remember seeing him. That hat. He always had that hat on. But yeah, you didn't need to know his name, right? You just need to know his shows. King Sportcow says we have to start giving people their flowers while they're alive. People dropping like flies these days. Yeah. The nice thing is Lear at 101, and he was prepared to go to 102. I think he understood his place. At least got to see it. But I agree with you. I agree, King Sport Cow. That's why I highly recommend, speaking of Rob Reiner, I highly recommend Rob Reiner's doc on Albert Brooks. If you guys are familiar enough with Albert Brooks, it is paying respects to Albert. And they also reference one of the best things that Albert Brooks ever did, among many things, is the Curb Your Enthusiasm episode where he holds a funeral and has all the friends come over and say nice things about him while he's upstairs watching on closed circuit. And I always thought that was hilarious. Why are we watching Arden Marin's on IMDb? IMDb has a show. Here I am, kicked out of the digital media world, and everyone's got a show but me out there. But we got 20 minutes of coffee. That's what we got. There you go. Norman Lear, gone too soon at 102. We'll miss you, Norman Lear. We'll miss you. We're back. 20 minutes of coffee. Taking a look at Norman Lear. Taking a look at the world. Sipping the coffee. I think I'm going to go get some work done while watching the latest episode of NFL Hard Knocks on Max. King Sport Cow comes in with what some might consider a controversial statement, but it is correct. It is a correct statement. Curb over Seinfeld. 100%. I love Seinfeld. Love Seinfeld. Did not miss it after the second season. I was one of the King's Cow, you're bringing up some memories. That first season, remember, what year was that? 92, 93 range? The first season of Home Improvement. Boom, 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 boom. It was on at the same time as Seinfeld. And in my house, we watched Home Improvement. And then it switched or something like that. Then I never watched Home Improvement again. Like, I'd check in every now and then. I'd watch Tim Allen grunt and laugh. Now I don't think it's funny, and I don't think Tim Allen's funny. And maybe at one point his stand. I give Tim Allen credit for crafting a brand with a stand-up in the 80s. I totally give him credit for that. I respect that. But who he became and who he is now, that story that Casey Wilson had in Variety, Casey Wilson, who's an absolute sweetheart, Saturday Night Live, Happy Endings, all that stuff. Just saying, he was absolutely just horrible to work with on this latest Santa Claus movie. It's bonkers that all those folks have that. But we switched to Seinfeld. Point being, we switched to Seinfeld, and that was a can't miss in our house. My mom and dad loved it too. They still love it. And I love Seinfeld. I'm not going to take anything away from Seinfeld. It was of its time, but also timeless. Helped reinvigorate TV in the 90s, without a doubt. But Curb Your Enthusiasm is something crazy. It's just the best. It's just the best. LQ is here, the husband, and I still use some version of I'm Coming Elizabeth from Sanford. Yeah, Red Fox, who then passes away from a massive heart attack that people thought he was joking about. There you go. All right. I am slowly making my way out of here. Making my way in the world today. Thank you all for hanging out with me. We got a football game stream coming Monday. We got a new episode out right now. If you're on the channel, please go listen to the podcast version. Or here on YouTube and like the video. Oh, by the way, I keep getting 2 automatic dislikes, which is great. Engagement is engagement. But it's amazing. Without a doubt, I'll put a video up. Within 2 minutes, there's 2 dislikes. Whoever you are, God bless you. I love you. It's engagement. But I love that there's always 2 right away. Napzok's posting, boom, dislike. Anyways, there is what King Sport Cow would describe as a pretty good interview with our buddy Johnny LaQuasto here on the channel. Johnny LaQuasto, a longtime pal of mine in comedy and wrestling, and we get into it into both aspects of it, but also Johnny's life and what's going on. It's I think a really inspiring episode, and we pulled it off while Johnny was on a cruise ship somewhere out in the Atlantic Ocean, and the internet does go, and we had to cut the interview a little short. So apologize for that. But check out the interview. Tell your friends about it. All right? This is 20 Minutes of Coffee. If you're watching later on public viewing, let me know. Comment down below. And we'll keep going. I'm going to enjoy some coffee. Bye, friends.